Welcome to the story. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and support me. The air was heavy with energy, crackling and humming in a way that made the small room feel alive. Wanda Maximoff sat cross-legged in the center, her fingers gently twisting in the air as scarlet tendrils of magic coiled around her. It was supposed to be a moment of peace, a rare chance for her to tap into her powers without the burden of chaos pressing down on her. But even in the stillness, there was a sense of unease. Her magic, ever linked to her emotions, hummed with anticipation. Deadpool, or Wade Wilson as some knew him, strolled in with all the subtlety of a hurricane. His boots thudded on the floor, the echoing sound breaking Wanda's concentration. His mask was pulled halfway up, revealing the lower half of his scarred face as he munched on a chimichanga. "Oh, what you're doing? Red practicing to be the next Circuit du Soleil star. I hear they rehiring." Wanda closed her eyes, her jaw tightening as she tried to focus, but the damage had already been done. The scarlet tendrils around her fingers began to pulse and twist, spiraling out of control. "Wade," she warned, her voice tight, "I need to focus." But Deadpool, ever oblivious, just grinned wider and walked closer, his eyes darting between her and the swirling magic. "Focus. You were always so serious. Lighten up. What's at the worst that could happen?" As if on cue, the air in the room changed, a low hum built up, vibrating through the walls and into the floor. Wanda's eyes snapped open just in time to see the portal tear open behind her, its edges crackling with chaotic energy. It expanded rapidly, a swirling mass of dark ethereal void that seemed to pulse with a life of its own. Deadpool, still holding his chimichanga, blinked. "Oh, that doesn't look good." Before either of them could react, the force of the portal pulled them in. The world around them blurred, and in an instant, they were no longer in the small, dimly lit room. They were falling, hurtling through a dimension that didn't seem to have any sense of direction or time. Wanda felt the magic in her veins go haywire, her connection to reality twisting as she tumbled through the void. Deadpool, meanwhile, screamed, though it was hard to tell if it was from fear or excitement. They landed hard on an island, suspended in midair, floating in a sky that wasn't high, really a sky. The colors around them shifted and twisted as if reality itself was struggling to decide what it wanted to be. Wanda groaned, pushing herself up from the jagged ground beneath her. Deadpool, ever the survivor, stood up with a flourish, brushing off his suit. "Well, that was fun. Next time, let us try not to get sucked into the Matrix." Wanda shot him a glare but said nothing. She could feel the instability in the air. This wasn't just another dimension. It was something far more dangerous. Time didn't exist here, nor did space in any way they could understand. Everything was in flux, shifting in ways that made her head spin. "Where are we?" Deadpool asked, looking around as the landscape shifted. Jagged mountains appeared in the distance, only to dissolve into floating fragments seconds later. Wanda didn't answer right away. She was too focused on her magic, trying to get a read on the realm they'd been pulled into. But it was like trying to grasp smoke, slippery and impossible to hold onto. "We reached in the void," she finally said, her voice grim. "A place between realities. No time, no space, just nothingness." Deadpool whistled. "Cool, so how do we get out?" Before Wanda could respond, the ground beneath them shifted. She felt it before she saw it, the presence of something massive, something alive. Out of the corner of her eye, she saw a creature materialize. It was like nothing she had ever seen, an ever-shifting mass of shadows and glowing eyes, its form constantly warping as if it couldn't decide what it wanted to be. The creature had no distinct limbs or head, just a swirling vortex of dark energy with glowing points of light, where eyes might be. Wanda, Deadpool said, slowly backing up. "What said that?" She didn't answer. Her instincts kicked in, her hands rising as scarlet energy pulsed around her finger. But even as she prepared to fight, she could feel the strange pull of the void. Her magic felt different here, as if it was part of the ever-changing chaos that surrounded them. The creature let out a low, rumbling growl, if it could even be called that, and surged forward, its mass shifting and expanding as it moved. Wanda's magic lashed out instinctively, but the scarlet tendrils that shot from her fingers flickered, unstable and weak. The magic dissipated before it could even reach the creature. Deadpool, ever the opportunist, drew his katanas and charged forward with a battle cry that sounded more like a whoop of joy. He slashed at the creature, but his blades passed through its shifting form without making contact. "Hey, no fair," Deadpool shouted, dodging as the creature shifted again, trying to envelop him. Wanda gritted her teeth, focusing harder. She could feel the void tugging at her magic, pulling it in different directions. This wasn't just a different dimension. It was a place where reality itself was broken. Her usual spells weren't going to work here. She needed to adapt. Drawing on the chaotic energy around her, Wanda reshaped her magic, allowing it to flow with the instability of the void rather than trying to fight it. Her fingers twitched, and the scarlet energy around her flared to life once again, this time crackling with the same chaotic energy that surrounded them. She sent another wave of magic toward the creature, and this time it connected. The creature let out a distorted screech as Wanda's magic tore through its form, destabilizing it further. The glowing eyes blinked out one by one as the creature's mass began to dissolve, breaking apart into tiny fragments of shadow. Deadpool, panting and slightly singed from the encounter, sheathed his katanas. "Well, that was fun. Let's never do it again." Wanda lowered her hands, the scarlet energy around her fading. But even as the creature disappeared, she could feel the overwhelming presence of the void pressing down on her. This wasn't just a place where monsters roamed. It was a living, breathing entity constantly shifting and warping. "We need to find a way out of here," she said, her voice tight. "Before this place tears us apart." Deadpool shrugged, his usual nonchalance masking the seriousness of the situation. "Sir, no problem. We'll just ask the next giant shadow monster for direction." But Wanda wasn't entirely listening. She could feel something else, something far more powerful and dangerous than the creature they had just fought. It was distant, but its presence was unmistakable. "We're not alone," she whispered, her eyes scanning the ever-changing horizon there. "Something else. Here, something far worse." Deadpool's grin faltered. "Worse than that thing." "Oh, got it." As they moved forward, the ground beneath their feet shifted and swayed, making it difficult to find stable footing. Wanda kept her magic ready, though she could feel the strain of the void pressing down on her. Every spell she cast seemed to drain more energy than it should, and the chaotic nature of the realm made it nearly impossible to control. Deadpool, on the other hand, seemed to take the ever-shifting reality in stride, cracking jokes and commenting on the surreal nature of their surrounding. But Wanda knew better. Beneath his humor was a growing sense of unease, and she could feel the tension building between them. They had been walking for what felt like hours, or maybe it had only been minutes. Time had no meaning here. The landscape around them continued to shift, with floating islands of jagged rock and twisted trees appearing and disappearing in the blink of an eye. Then, without warning, the ground beneath them erupted. A massive, hulking figure rose from the earth, its form towering over them. It was the Void Guardian, a creature of pure chaos, its body made up of swirling shadows and fragments of the void itself. Its eyes glowed with a malevolent light, and its presence was suffocating. Wanda's heart raced as the creature loomed over them. She could feel its power far greater than anything she had faced before. The Void Guardian was the key to this realm, the gatekeeper of their only escape. "We have to fight it," Wanda said, her voice steady despite the fear gnawing at her. "It's the only way out." Deadpool, ever the optimist, drew his katanas once again, a smirk on his face. "Great. I love a good boss fight." But even as they prepared to face the Void Guardian, Wanda couldn't shake the feeling that their fight had only just begun. The true danger of the void wasn't the creatures it held, it was the realm itself, and the way it twisted reality to its will. The battle that awaited them would not be one of strength alone, but of control over the chaos that surrounded them. The Void Guardian moved first, its massive form undulating like smoke caught in a storm. It didn't have a solid shape, just a swirling mass of dark energy that constantly shifted. Wanda could feel the raw, unrelenting chaos pulsing from it, twisting the very fabric of the void around them. Wanda raised her hands, calling on the scarlet energy that crackled through her veins. She focused on the chaotic nature of the void, letting her magic sink with it rather than fighting against it. Scarlet tendrils shot from her fingertips, but they were immediately absorbed into the Guardian's swirling mass. The creature didn't even flinch. Deadpool, didn't he? Wait. He dashed forward, blades drawn, his usual cocky grin firmly in place. He leaped into the air, bringing both katanas down in a powerful arc. But the moment his blades made contact, they passed right through the creature, as if it wasn't even there. A Deadpool landed on the other side, glancing back at the Void Guardian with an annoyed scowl. Okay, the S cheating. The Void Guardian let out a low, rumbling sound, like the growl of an earthquake. One of its massive arms, if it could be called that, lashed out, swiping at Deadpool with a speed that defied its size. Deadpool barely managed to roll out of the way, but even as he did, the edge of the creature's arm grazed him. For a split second, Deadpool seemed to warp, distorting in the same way the Void did. He let out a gasp as his form flickered, becoming translucent for a heartbeat before snapping back into solidity. Whoa, Deadpool muttered, staggering to his feet. That felt weird. Wanda's heart pounded. This wasn't a typical fight. The Void Guardian wasn't just a creature as a manifestation of the Void itself, and it had the power to warp reality. If Deadpool's sense healing factor wasn't high enough to keep him safe, they were in more trouble than she thought. The Void Guardian roared, and the entire landscape around them shifted. Floating islands of rock broke apart and reassembled in midair. The ground beneath them twisted, rippling like water. Wanda felt her balance shift, her connection to her magic flickering as the realm itself rebelled against her. But she couldn't afford to lose focus. She was the only one who had a chance of controlling the chaos here, of bending the rules of this dimension to her will. She drew on the energy around her, letting the Void's unpredictable power fuel her magic. The scarlet tendrils of her magic surged forward again, but this time she didn't aim for the creature itself. Instead, she directed her magic into the fabric of the Void, pulling at the threads of chaos that held the Void Guardian together. The creature let out a distorted screech as Wanda's magic took hold, warping the energy around it. Its form flickered, destabilizing for a moment, but the Void wasn't through done with them yet. The ground beneath them erupted, and from the churning chaos, more creatures began to emerge. Smaller than the Void Guardian, but just as dangerous. These new entities were twisted reflections of the monsters they had fought earlier, shifting shadows with glowing eyes, their forms constantly warping and changing. Deadpool cursed under his breath as he spun to face the new threat. You had to call in backup, didn't you? Figured. Wanda gritted her teeth, trying to keep her focus. The Void Guardian was still her primary target, but now they were surrounded. She could feel the pressure building, the strain of controlling her magic in a place where nothing made sense. Every second in the Void was draining her energy, and she didn't know how much longer she could keep this up. Deadpool didn't seem to care about the odds. He charged at the nearest creature, his katana slicing through the air with a wild, reckless abandon. The creatures were fast, but Deadpool was faster. He dodged and weaved through their attacks, his blades flashing as he cut them down one by one. But no matter how many he struck down, more kept coming. The Void was endless, and its creatures were a reflection of that infinity. Wanda's magic surged again, and she felt the Void Guardian falter. Its form flickered, the chaos within it, unraveling under the weight of her power. She could feel the threads of the Void pulling apart, the creature's very existence beginning to collapse. But just as she was about to deliver the final blow, the Void Guardian lashed out one last time. Its arm, massive and amorphous, slammed into Wanda with the force of a tidal wave. She was thrown backward, her body tumbling through the air before she crashed into the ground. Her vision blurred, the edges of the world going dark as pain radiated through her. She could hear Deadpool shouting her name, but his voice seemed distant, muffled by the roar of the Void. For a moment, she thought it was over. The Void was too powerful, too chaotic to control. But then something deep within her stirred a spark of defiance, of determination. She couldn't give up. Not here. Not now. Drawing on every ounce of strength she had left, Wanda pushed herself to her feet. The scarlet energy around her flared to life, brighter and more intense than before. She could feel the chaos in the Void, but now she wasn't just fighting it. She was embracing it. With a final, desperate surge of power, Wanda sent a massive wave of magic crashing into the Void Guardian. The creature let out a deafening screech as its form unraveled, the chaotic energy within it tearing apart at the seam. The light in its eyes blinked out, and the swirling mass of shadows collapsed in on itself, dissolving into nothingness. The moment the Void Guardian was destroyed, the entire realm seemed to shudder. The ground beneath them stabilized, the chaotic energy that had been swirling through the air dissipated. The smaller creatures that had been attacking Deadpool flickered and vanished, their existence tied to the Guardian, Deadpool, panting and covered in scratches, sheathed his katanas and gave Wanda a thumbs up. Well, that was fun. I give it a solid 8 out of 10. Needs more explosions, though. Wanda did T respond. She was too exhausted to even summon a sarcastic remark. The void had drained her, pushed her magic to its limits, but they had won somehow. They had survived. But as the void around them began to settle, Wanda could feel something shifting. The air itself seemed to vibrate with a strange, otherworldly energy. She glanced at Deadpool, who was already picking up on the chain. Red, he said, his voice unusually serious. What's going on? Before Wanda could answer, the world around them began to collapse. The floating islands, the jagged rocks, the twisted trees, all of it started to disintegrate, turning to dust and vanishing into the endless expanse of the void. We need to get out of here, Wanda said, her voice hoarse now. She could feel the void pulling at her, trying to drag her deeper into its chaotic depth. But she wasn't about to let that happen. With what little energy she had left, Wanda focused on the fabric of reality, searching for a way out. The air around her shimmered, and she felt a portal begin to form. It was unstable, flickering in and out of existence, but it was their only chance. Deadpool didn't need to be told twice. He grabbed Wanda's hand and yanked her to a portal, his usual bravado replaced by a rare sense of urgency. Together, they dove through the portal just as the void collapsed behind them, the last remnants of the realm disintegrating into nothingness. They tumbled out of the portal and landed hard on solid ground. For a moment, neither of them moved, the weight of what they had just escaped sinking in. Deadpool was the first to speak, his voice muffled by the ground. So next time, how about we skip the whole getting sucked into a nightmare dimension thing? Wanda let out a breathless laugh, her body aching from the effort it had taken to get them out. Agreed. As they lay there, staring up at the sky, real sky, with stars and clouds and everything, Wanda couldn't help but feel a strange sense of relief. The void had tested them, pushed them to their limits, but they had survived. Deadpool sat up, his mask still pulled halfway up his face. I think we make a pretty good team. You bring the magic, I bring the muscle, and the chimihaga. Wanda smiled faintly. Just try not to get us sucked into another dimension next time. Deadpool grinned. No promises. And with that, they stood side by side, ready for whatever madness the world or worlds had in store for them next.